Alright, haulers, hello and welcome back to Euro Truck Simulator 2. So we are in, where are we? Glasgow. And we have to head back to the mine that we were just at, the quarry. We dropped off the cement there. It turns out that, after we ran back to town, we've slept, we've done everything we needed to do in town, I've fixed up the truck. We're actually going back to... what were we picking up? I don't remember what we're picking up. I believe it's an excavator. And the reason we're picking that up is because it's heading to Newcastle, which is our next destination, Newcastle. So we're going to run over, we're going to pick that up. But this time, instead of being hooked up and rolling right off the bat, I wanted to talk to you guys before we get rolling, just to kind of kick things off. And the first thing that I want to talk about, and this is going to be old news at this point, I know that for a fact, but I think it's still something important that I'd like to talk about. Instagram recently launched a new rule set, which basically said that if you have an item of, I believe it's food or drink or something like that, that has these claims of, proving, or claims of weight, claims of weight loss or something like that, or something along those lines, that they're going to start battening down the hatches on that and not letting people under 18 see that. You'll have to be 18 or older from now on, as well as, kind of limiting some of it, which very clearly impacts its biggest followers and users. I'm not a massive user of Instagram. I've had one for forever. I just barely use it because I haven't really had a reason to, and I never really got into the site. I mean, I'm one of those people where Reddit, I made a Reddit account yesterday. I started my Reddit account now in 2019. Most everyone that I know has had them for years and years and years, but I've never touched Reddit until yesterday. But obviously everyone talks about it, so I figured I might as well check it and see what it has on it. But I think what Instagram's doing on that front, some people were kind of mad at it. I think, honestly, that's a huge step in the right direction, because the amount of fake stuff out there that claims to, provide weight loss or do all this stuff, I think there's just so much crap out there that doesn't need to be out there. And I'm very opinionated in the sense that I strongly dislike people like the Kardashians. I strongly dislike most of the larger people on Instagram. And if you like them, by all means, you do you. I personally I can't stand it because it feels as fake gets to me. And with that, a lot of their money seems to, they make money off of those ads. If they're going to advertise something that's not genuine, then that's just kind of messed up, in my opinion. So I think that the handling of that is really good, especially with the age thing, where, limiting people under 18 from seeing that, because there's a lot of, Instagram is probably the biggest website in terms of making people feel bad about their lives. It's all these, you only ever see the best part of someone's life, and if you use social media, most likely you're guilty of this too, where you only see the select parts that person wants you to see. Most people don't post anything other than that because they want to look good. And it's just like, I don't like that, how Instagram does stuff. So it's nice to see them implementing some stuff along those lines. And, this is coming from someone, I'm not super unhealthy. I wouldn't consider myself to be top tier. I don't go running every morning. I don't work out very often. I'd like to. I'd like to put more time into it, but right now my work schedule doesn't really offer me time. Which I guess, I have to take responsibility for that, because if I really, really wanted to, I could make time. I'm choosing not to, because it's not really something that I personally consider a priority in my life right now, and most people are probably going to call me crazy about that, because it should be a priority, but you know what? Personally, I just don't see it as a big deal, because I'm not super overweight. I would consider myself on the heavier side, but I'm not super overweight. I'm maybe 20 pounds overweight. I'm not huge, but it's nice to see, people's emotions and stuff being cared about, because there is a negative aspect to that for a lot of people. And, I've struggled with weight all my life and how I feel about it, and, you know, just being happy with who I am. So it's nice to see stuff like that. But I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. You know, what do you think about it? And I don't know, maybe something changed, because obviously this episode will probably come out a couple of weeks after they've done all this stuff. But, yeah. And in terms of other health stuff, too, there's one more thing that I want to talk about, which is sleep. As a graphic designer, I follow, and I've mentioned this before, I follow a lot of people on social media that are graphic designers, and most of them are on the younger side of things, you know, 18, 20, 21. Most of these people have really promising careers ahead of them. But the one thing that I'm seeing the most is this trend of the grind, of purposefully not getting enough sleep because you're working and blah, 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 blah. I think there's an element to it. I should probably look here to make sure my trailer's not up here. It is up here, so I'm glad I stopped. There's this element to it of just, quite frankly, bullshit, where, you know, I understand the grind, I understand people who are working to get to this point, but there's this subset of people that are doing it just for the look of it. They're not actually putting any work in. So I think there is that portion of it, but there's also a large portion of people that struggle to get enough sleep every night. But they're making it out as though that's a good thing, and as someone who has been in that position where, you know, when I went to school, in high school, I had to travel 4 hours a day at one point just to go to school. 2 hours to school and 2 hours back. On top of that, I worked a part-time job, so, you know, I spent a majority of my day working my ass off, going to school, doing all this stuff, and, you know, I was very limited from that, and it was not good. But I see a lot of people right now that are saying, like, you know, and I saw this one particular tweet from someone I follow that was basically along the lines of, like, this is what people need to see and this is what people should be doing. No, it's not. You know, not getting enough sleep is so unhealthy. It's not good for you. And I know this because, you know, personally, I've really made an effort to try and make sure that I'm getting the sleep I need to get, that I'm doing what I need to do to be healthy, and oh my god, it makes all the difference. It's really hard to do, yes. In today's world, getting enough sleep is probably one of the most difficult challenges that we have, you know, here in the US, at least as a country, to try and figure out how we can manage this stuff better. But don't grind for the sake of just either look or anything like that. Make sure you're putting effort in to get the sleep you need to get. It's not worth not doing it. And most people are like, well, what's the point when I could be working instead of sleeping? Because if you sleep 8 hours a day, those 16 hours that you're up working are going to be twice as, you know, you're going to do twice as much. You're going to do 3 times as much. You're going to have the energy. You're going to have the wherewithal to handle more. So by not sleeping, you're limiting yourself in that way. And I see it every day, and it bothers the hell out of me that people think it's okay. Like, just get some sleep. I know I can't just say that, and, you know, people are going to not be able to do that. Some people have way busier lives than I do, and I understand that. But if you have the ability, and you're, like, even if you're trying to start your own company, make absolutely damn sure that you're getting as much sleep as you can, you know, within that 8 hours. I'm not saying sleep 12, 16 hours a day. That's a waste of time. But if you're at least getting the sleep that you as a human need, and obviously for some people it's different. I do know that, you know, with water intake too. Some people, they like, the guidelines like 8 whatever a day. 8 cups of water or something like that. That's not how it works for everybody. Obviously, I would imagine different body sizes, stuff like that, all play into it. The point of it's just stay hydrated. If you're, you know, the point of it's just be well rested, because you can stay up all night getting that extra work done, and you've got, you know, you've got a couple extra pages written of your assignment, or you've done this or you've done that. That's very small. But had you gone to sleep, you could have woken up and done 5 pages. You could have woken up and done 8 pages because you feel that much better. You have the energy to do it, and your brain's gonna function better. Like, it's so, that's something that, for whatever reason, just genuinely annoys me. Anytime I see people tweet about that stuff or post about it, it's like, don't just grind because it's the cool thing to do. Like, you definitely make yourself seem like that trying to be an edgy teenager. Don't do that. It's just, please, do me a favor, take care of yourself. Get the sleep you need, get up, you'll feel better, you'll be able to accomplish that much more, and hit life that much harder. You can run the show and do it responsibly, you know? It's just that to me separates these younger people from people I would consider adults that, you know, I've never met an adult that knows what they're doing. You know, I'm only 20 years old. I wouldn't consider myself to be knowledgeable in almost anything. Like, I'm definitely still trying to find my way through life, but that's the one thing that I see the most that scares me the most, is people who, you know, just grind for the sake of saying they grind, and then I'm watching them crumble under their own weight that they've put on themselves. Don't do that. But I guess let's move on. That's enough ranting for me. I also need to manage the road a little better, because I'm in my desk chair, and it swivels, and for whatever reason I have this bad habit of, like, when I'm pressing on the gas, it pushes me to twist to the left, and when I do that I bump my wheel, and it throws me off. I don't know why I do that. So I'm gonna figure out, I need a chair that, like, is solid. I was surprised, because the one thing that I thought I would have issues with driving with a desk chair is like the roll, because it's a rolling chair, is like rolling backwards. Nope. It's the spin, it's the twist of the chair, because it's a spinny chair, so you can do a full circle and stuff like that, but, you know, when I put my right leg and I put pressure on it, it turns me to my left. You know, it's very weird. But yeah, we'll get there. I'll get this under control at some point and actually be able to drive like a responsible person. But that's enough talk on health stuff, I think. Just take care of yourselves, be happy humans, do what you need to do, and, you know, I mean, you got support from me either way. Go out and go after this stuff. Everyone needs to do it. If you're someone who's looking for more, check out Matt Diavella. There's a few creators like him that are really, really pushing, I think, some really good content. You know, they talk about a lot of really good health stuff. So if you want to better yourself in that sense, check them out. And, yeah. But the next thing that I want to talk about, man, I don't know if anyone else has picked up on it, but I stutter a lot more now than I used to. And it bothers me. And I don't know why I do it. It's only when I'm recording. I don't do it as much when I'm just talking to people, but I struggle with stuttering all of a sudden. I don't know. If anyone has any, like, tips on maybe improving that, I don't know if that's something you can work on, is stuttering. I'd assume it is, just trying to talk more clearly, but I don't know. But the next thing I want to kind of cover is, if you haven't seen it already, I do post, every Friday I post City Skylines, and I'm only about 14-15 hours into the game. I wanted to play that game for a long time. I never did until now, and now that I'm playing it, I'm starting to learn more about it and get more into it. And I was afraid when I started playing it. You know, it's the question everyone asks. What do I build? You know, what do I do? How do I make a city that looks good, or, you know, all this stuff? And the one thing that surprises me most is the minute I actually started playing it and got my hands on it, the ideas have started really just flowing. And a lot of it's inspired by real world things, but, you know, one of the things that I'm kind of considering is, I just got Green Cities. I got a couple more DLCs for the game. And I don't know if these episodes will line up properly, like this episode with the City Skylines that comes out that week. Stuff might be a little staggered. But with that, you get a couple new power sources. You know, obviously you need to have power for your city. I really, really desperately want to build the most, like, efficient green city I can. Like, I want to limit the amount of pollution I have. And I think one of the builds that I'm currently considering is, I want to build a wind farm and have that kind of a setup so that it's, you know, it's also for looks too. I want that in my city as kind of a looking thing. But with a wind farm, it doesn't produce a ton of electricity. You know, say I need 100 megawatts, I believe each windmill can only produce up to like 10. So obviously you need to have either a ton of those, which I'm not going to be able to place enough in the areas that I want to, or you need to have an additional power source. And the other thing that needs to and this is realistic too, this is how it works in real life, windmills aren't producing a consistent amount of electricity 24/7. There are days that the wind blows really, really hard where they can only produce so much, because obviously if they go too fast, they can break, you know, stuff like that. But if there's days where the wind is calm and they're not actually producing any electricity at all, that adds an issue with the grid. That's why you need to have a secondary power source that's more stable. You know, solar is the same way, where wind is green as hell. It is great energy, but it's variable. You know, it only works certain times. You know, there's variables in it that can cause some serious issues with, you know, trying to power a grid. And solar is the same way, where it's solar. It runs off the sun. When there's no sun out, there's no power generation. So you got to find this balance between the odds and ends of the variable ones and find some way to kind of fill that gap in. And one of the ways that I've seen, Tom Scott, one of my favorite... Whoa. God, my voice cracks are getting so bad again. Tom Scott is one of my favorite, you know... He posts all these videos on these quirky areas or just cool places and cool things that you can learn and know about. And he posted a video, I mean, it's probably weeks and weeks and weeks old, if not months, but I remember watching it where it was a facility, I believe in the UK, ironically, where we are now, that basically it's a hydroelectric dam, but they produce a bunch of power during off hours, so when things like wind or things like solar aren't able to produce, they produce power by taking water from a reservoir. It drains into another reservoir, and on its trip down, it produces the extra electricity to power the city during the day. And obviously at night, a lot of cities don't use as much power, so at night, the grid actually powers the facility and the water gets pumped back up to the reservoir. That's really, really cool in my opinion. Like, that whole method of it sounds really cool to me, and I don't know why. I need to move over here, buddy. Sorry. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm kind of looking... I did find... I guess one of the things you unlock is a geothermal power plant. So I think one of the builds I want to do is... Oh, excuse me. Man, I don't know what it is. I'm struggling to, like... My throat's not doing well today. I want to build a wind farm and use the wind farm for additional power, but it's going to be more for looks, I think, than anything. It will produce power, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's going to be mostly a looks type of deal. But with that, I think I'm going to build a power facility, like an additional power facility that will be like a geothermal facility that will be off kind of in the middle of nowhere, as well as, I believe, you know, you can burn trash. I don't like the idea of burning trash. I believe you can recycle stuff too. If I can get my city to be completely recycling, which I don't know if you can, because obviously not everything in this world is recyclable, but some better way instead of using landfills and then burning the trash would be fantastic. So, if you guys have any ideas for ways that you want to see me go about that, you know, let me know. I have a few builds in mind. The first obviously being that power site. That's one of the biggest things on my list right now that I'd love to get started on soon. And then, you know, we just revamped, and I think you guys haven't seen it yet. Well, I don't know. As of the recording of this episode, like when I'm sitting here right now, that episode has not come out yet. We revamped the entire main, like, downtown portion of the city. Or not downtown, but like right off the highway section. Which I still need to do a ton of work to the road layout, but the actual residential and commercial layout is mostly done in that section. I've been trying to find a name for it, because it kind of reminds me of like two Luns. It's kind of the shape of two Luns, and I couldn't figure out a name. So if you guys have any ideas for that, let me know. But I really want to build a better section running through there. I'd like to build better facilities for water management and stuff like that. But in that main section, that main road, it's going to be my area for parks and for, I want to, this is kind of a weird way to put it, but imagine you've got the two roads, one going one way, one going the other way, each one's 2 lanes, and then you've got this big grass area in front of it. So like we are on the highway right now, where you've got the guardrail where that is now, but there's that grass section in it. Imagine if these highways were split up by like, 50 feet or like a huge area. I would love to put something in the center of it, which is basically a mixture of parks for people to go and do stuff in, but also I want to have like a train. I want to have parallel tracks that run down the middle of it as a way for passenger transport instead of buses down the main street. I think that would be cool, but I'm trying to figure out a way that I can implement it and make it make sense. I might stick to just doing parks. I don't want to. I'd like to, I really, really desperately want to make that also a biking section. I want to make a bike path down there. I think that would be amazing. But I'm trying to think of how I can do that. So if you guys have anything that you've seen, in your local area that you think would be cool, let me know, because I'm desperately looking for new ideas and stuff to work on. I'm really excited to really push into some really cool new territory. So definitely let me know. And if you guys are going to slow down here because they're starting to get a little bit tippy. Do you guys watch any other City Skylines creators? If you do, I want to hear. I'm a huge fan of Biffa. I'm a huge fan of someone by the name of Move the Mouse. Actually, Move the Mouse is someone that I would consider a huge, huge help, and the reason that I'm doing this series now, because through watching these people, you learn how they do things, you learn how to use this stuff in the game to your advantage, and that's made all the difference for me being able to understand how to put my cities together, or I say cities, but city, because I have yet to do more than one. I mean, the city that you're seeing is the first time I've ever created a game, like a save in that game. So it's very much my first try. But they have been a massive inspiration and a massive help to me to be able to learn how to do this stuff. I will say this, the one thing that surprised me is there's a couple of bad apples in the City Skylines community. Most everyone is amazing. It's one of the communities I think is the most embracing of each other and the most embracing of the modding community. Even SCS Software hasn't fully... I think in the past, obviously the ATS and ETS2 modding communities are very volatile. There's so many highly talented people, but there's also a lot of people in this community that are very trashy to other people, and obviously there's the issue of people stealing mods and then trying to resell them, and then it's just all this drama and crap. I don't know if I just haven't gotten deep enough into City Skylines, but for the most part, the only issue I've seen is there are a couple of creators, fairly massive creators too, that they've kind of been really nasty towards other people that do the same thing, and it's kind of disappointing because there's no need for it. City Skylines is a game I've always considered to be very laid back, very happy to play. The whole community has always been very laid back and very nice to each other, so I don't know where that comes from, but it comes from somewhere. So who knows, honestly. Be nice if I could get up this hill a little faster. Truck seems to be struggling, I don't know why. Come on. But yeah, so I guess that's that for City Skylines. I definitely am enjoying the game. It's been a lot of fun playing it, and it's the first time. Everyone right now seems to be in that phase of trying to find new games because they've played through everything and there's not much coming out right now. But for me, City Skylines is a game that I haven't played and I'm just starting to play now, and it's been really, really, really fun. Like, I very rarely do I stop playing a game and have the urge to immediately want to just go back and play it, or randomly have the urge to go and play a game. But right now, I would desperately love to be playing City Skylines. I mean, recording in that game, though it comes with its own challenges, is the easiest game I record. American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator take time. That's their biggest killers. It takes so damn long sometimes to record these episodes, especially if, I don't like always doing these shorter trips. I'm finding that it's a little easier. Most people do these videos for American Truck Sim and Euro Truck as, every video is a different truck. It's to show off the truck. Excuse me. It's to do stuff like this. And That's not how I'm doing my series. This is meant to be almost... It's very much a Let's Play, like a playthrough type of series, but it's almost a vlog. It's almost, you know, it's me being able to just play the game, drive, build up my career in this game, get achievements, talk to you guys, and do all this stuff, which is very... I think there's only one creator I've seen who's doing this, and I only found it after I started my series, so don't say I'm copying anybody. I only discovered it after I actually started this series, and I believe it was Full Tilt 530 or something like that. There's two of them. There's Full Tilt and Full Tilt. One of them is doing a series called Career Day in American Truck Simulator, which is very, very similar to how I'm doing this series, but obviously my series has its own things. Like, it's independent of it. It's not a copycat situation. It's nothing of that kind. I started this series... I think I started after he did, but I didn't know this person existed until after I started the series and stumbled across him through someone else showing me a video and stuff like that. But, you know, there's only one other person I've seen that does it like this, and I think that's because this is, I mean, I don't know if there's even an audience for this. This is just how I want my series to be. I don't want to have to put in a new truck every time. I want to be able to just hop in, drive, talk to you guys, and you know, play through this and build out my empire and do stuff like that. But it's not easy, and, you know, very well there might not be an audience for it, but oh well. But I think I've somehow run myself off in a tangent because I think there was something I was trying to say and I don't remember what it was as of this moment. I give up. Yeah, I don't remember. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to speed this up and I will see you guys when we get closer to dropping off.
Baby, love is never painless, never painless. No, excuse me for being suspicious. When you touch me, feel so good, I can't contain it. When you love me, I'm so high, so confident, yeah. When you say I'm the only one, I must admit it. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious. I get suspicious, just a little suspicious.
I think that's going to go ahead. That's going to do it for this episode. If you liked it, you know what to do. If you didn't, you do too. If you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe. Posting 5 days a week. And if you want to know when I upload, you can go ahead and either hit the notification bell down below that will notify you every single time I upload, or you can follow me on Twitter or join my Discord, all of which you can find in the description. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Peace.